Mr. Kenny's not a scientist. I am. He's the CEO of the Weather Channel now. I was the founder of the Weather Channel, not the co-founder.
And I'm glad you did, because I am addicted to the Weather Channel. I watch a lot of cable news.
Now, hold on just a minute. I'm not done. And CNN has taken a very strong position on global warming that it is a consensus. Well, there is no consensus in science. Science isn't a vote. Science is about facts. And if you get down to the hard, cold facts, there's no question about it. Climate change is not happening. There is no significant man-made global warming now. There hasn't been any in the past, and there's no reason to expect any in the future. There's a whole lot of baloney, and yes, it has become a big political point of the Democratic Party and part of their platform, and I regret it's become political instead of scientific, but the science is on my side.
I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion about the topic.
Make it stop. Make it stop. He's already dead. That's Brian Stelter getting pummeled by the founder of the Weather Channel, who called climate change a hoax, live on CNN. We're going to see how that interview ended. We're going to look at Biden's attempt at reviving climate change alarmism, and stick him to the very end of this video, and I'll reveal what far more sane minds are recommending for sustainable ecological policies. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, patriots all across the globe. Dr. Steve here with you, your Patriot professor, helping to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And by the way, a huge shout out to you from our good friends over at Old Country Soap. Apparently you've been ringing their phones off the hooks. I introduced you some weeks back to this amazing South Dakota company that uses traditional Amish techniques and locally sourced ingredients to make the best natural soaps out there. Every bar of Old Country Soap includes pure and unfiltered bentonite clay, which works wonders. It helps to soothe and relieve dry and sensitive skin. It's known for its healing properties that help with psoriasis and eczema. It's amazing stuff, gang. You've got to try this soap out. I love it. Just the pure natural scent alone is unbelievable. Click on that link below right now. For a limited time, you're going to get an exclusive discount if you use my promo code Turley. And they're even going to throw in a free shower-enhancing exfoliation soap bag with every purchase. So don't wait. Click on that link below or visit oldcountrysoap.com. All right, let's dive right in here, gang. I want to go back to that video at the beginning when CNN's Brian Stelter sat there dumbfounded as if anything's new, that there was actually an alternative argument to global warming. The fellow that was lecturing Stelter there was a guy by the name of John Coleman, a climatologist and founder of the Weather Channel. And obviously he doesn't buy all this apocalyptic alarmism that's being peddled as we speak by the Biden disinformation administration. Here is a little more from that smackdown interview.
Science is on my side.
I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion about the topic right here. What I do wonder, though, is when you see...
because you wouldn't allow it to happen on CNN. But I'm happy that I got on the air and got a chance to talk to your viewers. Hello, everybody. There is no global warming.
What I do wonder is when you see the government, when you see NASA, when you see other institutions say that 97% of climate scientists agree, do you think they're making it up? What I don't understand is how you square that.
That's a manipulated figure, and let me explain it to you. The government puts out about $2.5 billion directly for climate research every year. It only gives that money to scientists who will produce scientific results that support the global warming hypothesis of the Democrat Party position. So they don't have any choice. If you're going to get the money, you got to support their position. Therefore, 97% of the scientific reports published support global warming. Why? Because those are the ones the government pays for, and that's where the money is. It's real simple, but that doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't make it true. That only makes it bought and paid for. The money goes in circles.
I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to try to refute you on the facts.
That's the truth.
I'll simply say that the vast majority...
Please stand back from this issue and let the two sides be on the air.
Wow, I mean, that was like driving slowly past a massive car wreck, and you just can't help but look and say, I'm glad that ain't me. I mean, now, unfortunately, the Biden administration, in the midst of his weirdly informing us he has cancer, present tense. As you probably heard, as Tucker Carlson put it, he doesn't have cancer, he has dementia. But leaving that aside, the Biden administration is once again empowering the three-lettered administrative state by bypassing Congress, a little thing we call democracy, Congress, right? And he's imposing this leftist, imperialist, environmentalist policies that are reflective of this democratic-obsessed climate change. He stopped short of declaring an emergency order, but what are words, when you're bypassing democracy in order to protect it? Few believe Biden's executive order is going to make any substantive difference. I mean, they never do, right? The Paris Accords, right? Danish statistician Bjorn Lomborg has pointed out that even if we did absolutely everything that the Paris Accord requires of us, every single thing required, all of that effort would amount to a reduction of temperature by the end of the century to no more than about 0.5 degrees Celsius. I mean, think about that. Even if we took all the measures, spent all the trillions of dollars that the Paris Accord requires of us, the total temperature reduction by the end of the century would be little more than 0.5 degrees Celsius. That's about 0.8% or degrees Fahrenheit. It's absolutely absurd. In fact, what I really like about Bjorn Lomborg's research is he takes the very data that the environmentalist radicals constantly appeal to, like the founder of the Weather Channel and what he did, and he shows a whole other way of interpreting the data. So, for example, he notes that rises in temperature that global warming activists are so apocalyptic about, he notes that warming temperatures could actually save more than 1.3 million lives a year. And that's, of course, because people would be spared early cold-related deaths than would be at risk from heat-related deaths. So we could certainly address the environment in a far more realistic way, but without all the apocalyptic alarmist hysteria that we see coming from the likes of radical left-wing activists like Greta Thunberg, or in this case, Joe Biden, when he's actually cognitive. Again, the absurd hypocrisy to all this could be seen from the fact that 20 years ago, after the Kyoto Treaty was signed by all these countries, since then, emissions are still going up. And of course, it's because this is all a show. It's all a big show by a bunch of really bad and cheap actors. Think about it. Every month, we're told that the oceans are rising. They're rising, rising, rising. And soon they're going to be covering more and more coastal lands throughout the world. But then ask yourself, where do virtually all of our liberal elites, the very alarmists that warn us about climate change, where do our liberal elites primarily live? Well, they disproportionately live on our coasts, particularly our cosmopolitan coastal urban centers. Do you know whose house this is? That's Barack Obama's house, right on Martha's Vineyard. I mean, this is the same Barack Obama who, while president, constantly warned us of dangers of rising sea levels. Yeah, that guy. Interesting how that guy could end up purchasing a $12 million estate, well, what do you know, right by the sea. But the truth is he's just one of countless coastal liberal elites that lecture the rest of us on how we need to change our lives and lifestyles to fit their climate agenda. Like Al Gore, who travels the world on his private jet, warning us about the apocalyptic dangers of carbon emissions, all the while emitting far more carbon than the people he's lecturing to. Instead of listening to partisan hacks and coastal elites like this, Bjorn Lomborg suggests that the U.S., the EU, and the UN should instead encourage research into green energy. And that's the key here, good old-fashioned research. Don't mandate the use of green energy because we're blatantly not there yet. The technology is nowhere near the level of replacing fossil fuels. Just try to travel across the country in your Tesla, or just ask Sri Lanka. It's being widely recognized that their organic extremism contributed to their economic collapse. Instead, replace your meaningless mandates with good old-fashioned R&D, research and development, because when all is said and done, if and when we discover a green energy that is cheaper and more effective than fossil fuels, your problem is solved. Everyone would switch in a heartbeat. Gone are the need for mandates and emissions goals that nobody ends up following in the end anyway. China would switch. India would switch. The single most effective long-term climate policy is investing in green research and development, not mandating the implementation of subpar green technology. But of course, it doesn't make for cataclysmic and apocalyptic rhetoric that the Marxist media can use to further their leftist revolution. And so the left rejects such a proposal, and they reject it, of course, from their cushy, air-conditioned condos overlooking the beach. So all of this is to say that there is certainly a solution to any environmental problems we may be facing, but obviously those solutions are not to be found in the meaningless mandates of a mind-numb president or a fledgling CNN anchor. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on MSNBC admitting that the mainstream media is indeed imploding. It's going to absolutely make your day. So make sure to click on that link, and I will see you over there. God bless.